In the age of AI and Gen AI, should we be changing PhD programs? I'm a business professor. I work and live research, so much so I'm even creating my own platform to help us create non-rejectable research papers and have fun too. That's what the Reciprocity Project is about. So I'm Professor Dave Massac. I actually want to talk about this in terms of should we be changing things and should we be throwing out the current model of what research is about. And I have some thoughts. I am a heavy user of artificial intelligence, and I have been since the day it came out. I was one of the people that went viral on the internet talking to people about Gen AI. You could see up my videos where there's lots of people that have watched them. So, as a business professor, I think about these things all the time. I teach about innovation, and I wonder about artificial intelligence and whether it's going to fundamentally change everything that we're doing. And on one side, yes, there'll be a tremendous amount of change that will actually happen, and we should be paying attention to those particular changes. For example, productivity gains will be quite substantial. I see in general the people that are struggling with writing and reading, including myself, will be using and leveraging some of these tools a lot. But the fundamental action of what we actually do is often somewhat scale free. This is sort of terminology that it's independent of Gen AI, even though that these tools are really important and they accelerate what we're doing. You still need to understand and be able to sort of forecast the future before you can use those tools wisely. It's actually reasonably difficult to do research, as there is an art to it. It's the same thing as physician. My wife's a veterinarian. All of these tools where there's going to be a tremendous amount of benefit that's happening from them. My wife, I've been ranting and raving about that they should be jumping on artificial intelligence. They finally got it at her clinic, and she came home one day and was just like, oh my gosh, it's now 2026 and they finally got it. She said, like, that's all I do every day is just talk to an AI. So what's going to happen is that it's going to accentuate some of the it's going to, there'll be some key things that will be accentuated, and they generally tend to be somewhat more on the non-creative aspect of things. Now, I used to say that some of these things are very human, creativity and emotions and things like that. But I think like actually these machines are doing a far better job at creativity and being human. But it's the collaborative effort, at least temporarily in the next few decades, that we will see a great deal of benefit. So the people that actually understand what these machines can do and their capabilities and interact with them will be benefiting a lot more than the people that are fundamentally not using them, or people that rely on them extensively. So the goal is to use it as a partner, or you can imagine yourself as almost like an extended lab, right? Where you have a bunch of junior and maybe even now getting, sort of equivocal colleagues that work together at something and piece together something that is more interesting. Now, there's constraints on these Gen AI software algorithms to limit what they can sort of go and do, because there's certain safety constraints, because we sort of want to be bounded by humans, and humans can only do so much. But I think this is going to be relaxed over, as we interact with them, because these systems and tools are relatively babies. It's like what happened when social media or the internet came in. It took some time for people to adopt and for it to be everywhere. But what happens is that there is a relaxation of the interaction with them, and what these these platforms can actually do, and they will start doing many more things. And we will actually just be part of a broader system of accomplishing big things that we couldn't have done on our own. And whether we, in the long run get replaced, yeah, that's a possibility. I don't think that, I think that there is a lot of things that we still fundamentally can do, fine motor skills, doing the kinds of odds and ends type things, qualitative stuff where you go out in the world. These things are still fundamentally a little bit difficult to do for robots. Doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. But at least for the time being, encouraging people to interact with artificial intelligence in PhD programs is absolutely fundamental. But the key thing is that we need to understand what these things are doing and understand the science behind them. And that's often the missing component between somebody that is genuinely curious and not, is that, the curious person is going to be looking and trying to figure out, okay, what is this doing? How do we understand this? What's that about? And that's a good researcher. But somebody that just sort of lets it run on its own and doesn't understand any of the things that are going on, that's a little bit more worrisome. And I think we're going to get many more cases of those happening. But at the same time, the benefit of the sort of rise of interacting with them collectively will outweigh many of these moments that are kind of uncomfortable. We have to make hard decisions of what that actually means. It's going to be more and more difficult to tease apart what is AI and what's not. It's already getting so much better as it goes on. There's many things that are just fundamentally better in all areas of it. And we will have to figure out how to work together and create more interwoven and richer tapestries of what what research actually is and what we actually do. And we have to be open and treat them as if they're human beings, just because they fundamentally are in many different ways, despite the fact that many people don't want to acknowledge that. They're as good, if not better, than humans are for the most part. And so we need to interact with them and show them, the wonder of the world, as if you're interacting with somebody that's junior or somebody that is wanting to be part of your team. So that's the way I'm handling it. And you know what? There's a lot of wonderful opportunities yet ahead that I think are going to be really cool, a little bit scary, but I think fundamentally very cool. And yeah, there is the risk of it imploding, all of humanity. There is that risk. You probably have seen it, the sort of sci-fi stuff. But there's a risk with absolutely everything in science in many different ways. Some of the most influential ideas that were the most catastrophic came from evolutionary thinking. If you think about all of the horrendous stuff that came from, I'm blanking on it, but began the roots of the sort of stories of the Aryan race and things like that, which is, fundamentally horrible. But, science has this really weird relationship between creating the most marvelous things, but also exposing the most human and most catastrophic things that we'll ever face in our life. So excited about the possibilities, a little bit nervous, but excited about what we could do going forward. Take care. Oh, the term I was looking for is eugenics. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.